Hi, James here, and today I want to talk about the October 8th Jew. This week I spoke to Neta Danciger from Voice of the People. Voice of the People is an initiative that was started by Israeli President Isaac Herzog. It was designed to help spearhead projects that united Jewish people from all around the world. Recently, they released their annual Jewish Landscape Report from 2025, highlighting some of the issues facing Jews around the world. The results were shocking. They took the results from about 10,000 Jews around the world. Some were in Israel, some were in Europe, some were in North America, and each one had a different thing to say. Quite a few different things caught my eye. Notably, the fact that 89% of Israelis share concern for diaspora communities, and 81% of British Jews feel like they have to hide their identity in public. Those of you who watch this show know that I have no problem wearing this hat, just like many other people have no problem wearing Magen David's or proudly displaying their Jewish identity online. I spoke to Netta about these results, and she highlighted two very different trends that seemingly contradict each other. The first is that recent world life events do cause some Jews to retreat and hide their identity. But there's another group of Jews, ones who have rediscovered their sense of identity and reconnected with their heritage. She called these people the October 8th Jews. According to Netta, after October 7, many Jews felt the need to reconnect with their heritage and re-identify themselves as a member of the nation of Jews. Our conversation today dives into the details in the report, talking about where Jews can go from here, how they're feeling, and what's next. I've also included a link to the report in the description of this episode, and I've put it up on the screen at some point, so please feel free to download it yourself and take a look at the results. I hope you enjoy. Netta, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me. Hi, James.
I wanted to talk a bit more about this report that you folks just released a couple of days ago. You recorded, I think, the responses of about 10,000 Jews from around the world on their feelings of anti-Semitism and their place as Jews around the world. Talk me through some of the most shocking insights that you found, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, you're correct. We did reach 10K Jewish individuals globally from around 80 countries, which is amazing. Even like one person from New Zealand, one person from Tanzania. So I think for me, by the way, as an Israeli that works, with I've been working, with global projects, startups for many years, but I never had a chance to kind of sit with 10,000 voices of Jewish people from all around the world. And for me, it was amazing to understand, feelings of anti-Semitism, how it affects like day-to-day life. People talking about people losing friends. They used to have like best friends, and now they don't want to be their friends because they're Jewish. Someone wrote that he lost a promotion at work. Someone said he was accepted to a university, but after there was anti-Semitism in the campus, he decided to transfer.
Which university?
I'm not gonna say. But a lot of the campus, kind of comments were in the US. And for me, it was shocking. In Israel, we have all kinds of problems as being Israeli and Jewish, but like real life anti-Semitism is not something that we kind of feel, on our day to day. It's different. And I think for me to see people saying that they're just afraid to say they're Jewish, that was shocking to me. I mean, I remember that from my, grandparents when they were talking about like Europe many decades ago. Not
Hmm.
so many, but you know what I'm referring to. So it for me that was a shock. People saying I'm tucking my Magen David into my shirt these days. Or I took off my mezuzah from my apartment in New York. Someone wrote that. All kinds of things that you're like, really? And and then you see like things happening in Washington like a week ago and Boulder, Colorado, and this is all in there in different kind of fragments. It connects. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel like your report came out at the perfect time, and we're speaking about it now at the perfect time. Well, there's no perfect time, but the most
yeah,
important time, I should probably say. I just
yeah,
want to highlight some of the numbers in the report that I found to be
sure,
particularly shocking. Um,
sure,
it says that the respondents in Israel, 89% of them expressed deep concern for the safety and stability of diaspora communities. That's communities outside of Israel.
yeah,
British Jews, where I'm from,
yeah,
81% reported a growing need to conceal their identities in public. I mean, I'm talking to you now
crazy.
from Israel wearing a hat with the map of Israel on it. Where did, where are these responses in Britain or Europe? Where are they coming from? How can in the 80s, people in the 80th percentile, how can they feel that way? Talk me through what some of those sentiments were and the difference in demographic or denomination
Sure,
or age. Talk me
sure.
through that.
So, so we definitely saw a higher percentage of people talking about, Jewish symbols and traditional kind of, how to people that dress and yarmulkes and Magen David and stuff like that. So for people feeling afraid about their physical appearance, we saw a much higher percentage when we were talking about Orthodox, Haredi, people that are, they look kind of religious, so it's easy to see they're Jewish. So their biggest fear was around physical, anti-Semitism. They were afraid of being, beaten up and like physical violence when we were looking at people, what we had categories of denominations, so people that call themselves secular or cultural Jewish, we saw a huge percent in their kind of referring to institutional anti-Semitism in the workplace, academia as students or professors, people, in their day-to-day lives and jobs and communities. Also, we saw a difference, by the way, between genders, like women and non-binary people that call themselves like female or non-binary. They were talking a lot about anti-Semitism and feeling alone within their network, like their close network of friends and coworkers, whilst a male and men in general um, we're talking more about geopolitical changes and how they feel it in the more institutional kind of level of the country and the institutions that they work in or kind of be in or being in. And another really interesting thing, like if you want to look at the generational gap, we saw that Zoomers and millennials, I think around 81% of them said that they're feeling unsafe and unsecure in social media. They were talking a lot about that, and it's not a surprise to us, but it's a huge number. 82% feel anti-Semitism and a fear for their safety in social media kind of platforms and in other kind of media-oriented digital spaces, which I found also shocking. That's a huge number.
Huge number. Did that go
Yeah.
into the types of platforms, the types of social media platforms?
So we didn't ask. Looking back at the numbers, I thought, well, I should have had a drop down asking, is that TikTok, Instagram?
Mm.
But that's for the next survey. We didn't ask that. Some people mostly said social media. I don't think I can kind of single out one platform, but people were talking about, false news and media kind of information feeding into that sentiment of not being understood, and people were also, of course, connecting everything that's happening in Israel and getting a lot of coverage and different media outlets
Mm,
to their direct life. Like it's quite crazy that the news cycle affects people. Like the news cycle about what's happening in Israel affects a student in New York on a campus, but it does. And we
yeah.
really saw it. Everything is interconnected.
Well, I want to talk more about that actually because that's a topic that's really close to my heart as someone that's in the media,
Yeah.
seeing these hoaxes unravel in real time and time again. So you have the
We just
14,000.
saw one in Washington Post, I think,
Yeah,
last
so
week.
Washington Post, CNN, BBC were the three
Yeah.
big outlets. You had the 14,000 dead baby hoax. You had the IDF shooting at the crowd in Gaza hoax. And
Yeah.
you can almost see when these hoaxes go viral, you see that spill out into the real world, right? So you see that
Yeah.
happen in the attack in Washington, D.C., when the young couple were murdered, and you see that again in Boulder, Colorado, which you mentioned earlier, about the illegal alien that came in and murdered, or not, sorry, not murdered, but attacked a group
Oh, yeah.
of
Protesters for
protesters.
the
Some of them,
hostages. Yeah.
yeah, for the hostages, some of them Holocaust survivors.
Yes.
These actions taken, and it's not the era of fake news or Russian bots or Chinese bots, and maybe
Is
it
it?
is, but it's also
I don't know. It's a
but it's
question.
also, this is my point, it's also a systemic issue with the
Yeah.
media institutions themselves, and that's why I find it so frustrating because I'm a member of that institution, at
No,
least here in Israel, and it's deeply irresponsible and frustrating for me to keep seeing it, and it's having real world effects, right? I mean,
it
Jews
is.
Jews that may not have any direct connection to Israel are now being attacked in the streets or at college campuses. So
Yeah.
talk me through where those people, like what those people are feeling now. What are they feeling? Those that, we mentioned here the number here, 89% of respondents in Israel. Let's talk about the respondents in the diaspora.
Yeah.
What are their feelings now?
So interesting. That's a great question, James. I think, first of all, the bulk number of people that answered our survey are from outside of Israel, just to kind of say. So that's like the big data set is from diaspora.
That's good to know.
And sorry?
That's good to know, just so we have an
Yeah,
understanding of what the sentiment
yeah,
is.
yeah. And I think that first of all, reading it start when the answer started to come in, when I started reading it, it was the first time I met the phrase October 7th Jew. You probably are familiar with that.
But for
For
those who
me,
may not be familiar, what does that mean?
so I learned it from the answers to our survey. So many people refer to themselves as October 8th Jews. They felt that after October 7th, something changed in their identity, in the way they feel as a Jewish person in the world. Um, Many started to feel they want to be involved in Jewish community or network or kind of finding their place with that identity kind of piece. And I think for many people's, it was another piece of the puzzle of their identity. So you could be an American, a New Yorker, a tech person, and a father, and you're also Jewish, It's kind of we live in a very complex identity kind of generational thing, an era. And I don't need to tell you, like postmodernism, everything is like is is complex. But for many people, like being Jewish didn't take, the first row in their identity puzzle. And I think that changed for many people. They're in the Jewish ecosystem kind of area, vertical. So always getting people that we call it unaffiliated, people that don't affiliate with, like a temple or a community. They don't go to JCC. They don't sit in that board, lay leaders, everything. And you always want to get the unaffiliated to join your project or to do something. That's like the holy grail of like the Jewish ecosystem. And I think that many people after October 7th, after being completely unaffiliated, it changed them. Something changed. And we're looking at the reasons. Many felt alienated from their surroundings. You know, we said already, workplace, friends, people like we had a lot of people writing, you know, they're part of the LGBTQ community. They felt they cannot be LGBTQ and Jewish or LGBTQ and Jewish and Zionist and to be accepted. We saw that in many comments. We also saw people saying that if they have, on the other hand, if they have a complex kind of issue with what Israel is doing politically, you know, not always supporting or thinking it's right, then they're also not accepted in the Jewish community. Like I think many people were starting to kind of challenge the sense of identity and what it means to be Jewish
Hmm.
after October 7th. And I think that was kind of the biggest milestone that we see here.
And
That changed.
there are other communities, not just the LGBT community, but also
Yeah.
communities like Black Lives Matter, that
Yes.
was also some form of progressive
Yeah. We saw
so-called
it.
community that, yeah.
The phrase progressive spaces do not welcome me anymore is a
Wow.
phrase that we saw as a theme. Uh,
What does that say about young people who tend to lean progressive anyway in just by virtue of being youthful,
it's
right?
a
You know,
crisis of identity in my eyes. It's an identity crisis. Um, I have to tell you, I also think of myself as progressive in many ways, very liberal. I'm secular, and in the past 2 years, I've been challenged by many of, you know, like I don't know. I wrote my thesis using Judith Butler as a kind of using her theory on gender performance, and you know what she said after October 7th. It shuddered me. I didn't know what I am anymore. I started, by the way, wearing a Magen David after October 7th. I never did that before. So I kind of feel like I really understood those answers. Like it was in a huge scale, and some, you know, suffered violence and some just felt unwelcomed. But it was a big scale that most of the Jewish people felt they can find themselves on that scale, which is very interesting.
yeah, I spoke to a lot of progressive Jews or liberal Jews who said that they that were going back to live in America when the war broke out, and they were finding themselves purchasing a gun. You know, in the state of
Wow.
California or
Wow.
wherever, you know, they were saying that if I'm a Jew and I'm going to walk down the street, I need to be protected. I need to arm myself.
Wow.
I've always been a big
Yeah.
believer that gun rights, this is a bit of a tangent. I've always believed that gun rights are Jewish rights, are women's rights, are LGBT rights, because when someone comes at
Wow.
you and throws a
Never thought
Russian
of
cocktail
that,
at you,
like connected.
yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it's a big equalizer. So, and you see it here in Israel, everyone walking down the street. I'm walking down the street with my, you know, with my dog and my cup of coffee in the morning. And the guy walking towards me also has his dog and a cup of coffee, but he's packing a gun, right? But he's not doing it for me, and I feel no threat from him. It's from the threat
Yeah.
from above or the threat from outside. So I'm seeing a lot of progressive Jews and liberal Jews saying that actually got rethinking other issues, not just progressive issues, but kind of systemic issues from
Yeah.
other parts of the West, which are things like gun rights, which are they're thinking, well, actually, I got to keep me and my family safe.
I
Um,
think many assumptions about living your life as a Jewish person shattered after October 7th, and they keep evolving. I think they keep changing. I wonder, by the way, if we did this survey today, would the answers be different? We started it in August 24, like about 6 months after, yeah, no, 9 months after.
you know,
So, and I'm sure the answers today would be different. I mean, but I think we saw, you know, it's a tectonic kind of breakage that keeps evolving from that point. And It's so interesting because we did actually it was before I even joined Voice of the People, but there was a prior study that was done by Deloitte globally. They went to interview 15 different Jewish communities around the world, and they did this kind of like focus groups in 15 countries. And you know that anti-Semitism, which is our top priority for the challenge for Jewish people today in our survey. So around a year before we did our survey, it was number six.
Wow. And a year before
So
you did the survey, that would have been pre-October 7, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And by the way, that's why we decided to do another survey because we just felt like, I don't know, it wasn't completely relevant anymore. Like we had to understand what's happening. And I think things are changing all the time.
Mm,
But imagine that number six in the priorities, and now it's like the most burning issue.
yeah. You folks have a lot of work to do. Um, sorry, I guess it's like it's an insurmountable challenge. I feel that it's such a difficult topic now, especially among young people, as you mentioned at the start of this
Yeah,
conversation. Those who are in
yeah,
college, those who are starting life as adults, that may be so
yeah.
maybe a bit unsure under their own feet, let alone the feet of
Mhm.
of the world. I want to talk a bit about the set of counselors that you folks have, the 150
I would love to talk
of
about it.
counselors. I didn't forget about it. I know that I've written about it before and I've covered it before, but talk to me about a bit about what their role is in all of this
Okay.
and where this all fits in together. Show me where the puzzle goes, please.
Okay, sure. Um, so Voice of the People is basically a platform that was, first of all, I want to give credit. It was it was first thought out by President Isaac Herzog, which was back then the chairman of the Jewish Agency. And like global jury is something that is very dear to his heart and mind. Um, so Voice of the People is a partnership between the President House, the Jewish Agency, and the World Zionist Organization, and three philanthropical foundations. Um, and and the platform is supposed to bring together 150 individuals, very diverse in nature, in all kinds of variations of diversity that you could think about, like denomination, geography, gender. 50 are from Israel, 50 are from North America, and 50 are from all over the world. And really, it's really interesting the diversity. We actually built an application algorithm to help us. It had like over 120 diversity parameters, and we kind of chose the cohort with that algorithm. So we knew that we checked all the diversity boxes that we needed, of course, with the quality that we were looking for. So these people are individuals that wanted to join the platform to kind of join a solution incubator program. That's what we are. They work for a course of 2 years as a cohort, and they work under a group. We call it like teams, a hub. They're like 15 people in each group, and they all sit under one main challenge. Those challenges that we did the survey for. We wanted to know what are the real problems in the Jewish world, and that's what they're working on. And each hub, each group is, they have professional guidance and they have this process, and they're trying to find solutions and products and to affect reality in a scalable manner within the area of the challenge. So we have two groups working on anti-Semitism, two groups working on Jews and non-Jews relations, which is not anti-Semitism. Very interesting difference. And we have two groups working on inner conflicts in the Jewish world. And we have two groups working on Jewish identity and culture.
Wow.
So. we met all of the 150. We flew them to Israel. We had 1 week of kind of a kickstart to the program in last March. We were in Haifa. It was amazing to see them face to face after, the application process, which was long and exciting and online. And yeah, and after that, they went back. They're spread all over the world. We have people from Australia and, of course, US and Germany and London and France. And it's very diverse. It's very
Wow.
diverse. And, diversity also comes with challenges, but it's super interesting. And by the way, one of our groups under anti-Semitism is researching maybe to work on a solution towards anti-Semitism and media and how it's connected. So
Well,
maybe
call me.
I'll
You
get
can
you to
consider
talk
me
to
a
them.
resource for that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do want to I do want to come to an end. I'm aware that we're going to be running out of time shortly, so I don't want us to be cut off. But I do want to end with a kind of I don't want to end on a downer question, but I want to end
Okay.
I want to end on a big one nonetheless.
Okay.
Anti-Semitism's always been there. There's always
Yeah.
been groups of
Yeah.
people and societies that hate the Jews. It's probably the loudest it's ever been, at least since my parents were born. I mean, I don't think when my
Yeah.
parents were having me in the 90s, 80s, 90s, I don't think I think they thought that anti-Semitism was kind of behind them,
Hmm.
but at least always bubbling under the surface and never getting too
Yeah.
loud. Our generation is having children in a post-October 7 world, as you said, these October 8 Jews and with record levels of anti-Semitism. What what degree can change be implemented? How can we reverse some of these trends of raising levels of anti-Semitism or rising levels of anti-Semitism and these attacks that are being seen across Europe and North America? Tell me it's not tell me it's not too late.
Well, I'm no prophet, James.
I'll
I
forgive you.
cannot I cannot promise you anything. I can share with you how hopeful I come out of these meetings with our council members, and they say the same thing. It's kind of and I also connected to our survey because I feel like we found like conflicting answers about everything. Some people said, now I'm wearing Magen David and I'm showing it all the time because I'm proud to be Jewish. And some people say I'm tucking it in because I'm afraid. Like we have contradicting like trends on all topics.
Hmm.
One thing was kind of unanimous. That was the fact that the state of Israel should exist, which is very interesting. And maybe it's also because the people that answered my survey think that, it's a blind stat, but I don't know. It's a thought. And also that the kind of the sentiment of the only way we could survive and prosper is uniting between Jewish people globally, and not falling into inner conflicts. That was a sentiment that came up from most of the answers.
Hmm.
Two things: lack of leadership and the fact that there is a lack of unity and that's the answer. So when I went to the conference, when we flew all these 150, we were like in euphoria.
I can
Because
imagine.
when you're in this group of 100, you have like Haredi, you have like Haredi women and men and like, LGBTQ and someone that is from Morocco and from the US. And, we had an 80-year-old and a 19-year-old. Like it's so diverse. And they were starting to think together about solutions and working together. And that gave me hope. I really think we need to work with we don't need to be an island, only Jewish people not working with the world, but we need to start working together to make change. And I believe in that. Like I believe in change, or else I wouldn't be in this profession.
And we need folks like you to keep promoting and encouraging that change, especially in times like this. Netta, we are running out of time. I'm really sorry. I don't want our conversation to get cut short. So, final question: what is the best way for people listening or watching this to get in touch with you or Voice of the People? And I'll put it
Sure.
at the bottom, so
Oh,
it can be
amazing.
easy done.
So
Tell us the best way to contact you.
okay, so first of all, this amazing report, which I really, really want people to download and to use it and to ask us questions. We have a huge data set. We're looking for collaborations. By the way, it's like one of the biggest global jury surveys ever done. So please go to our website, Voice of the People, write it in Google, and you'll find us, and you can download the report for free. Anyone can do that. It's in our website. Second of all, follow us on social media, Instagram if you want. We're on all platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook. And yeah, and stay tuned, to the next application for the next cohort. And we also have really, really cool newsletter. So in the website, you can sign up for that as well. I think that's it. And you're welcome to write to us. We have contact information on our website as well.
Wonderful, Netta. I'll be sure to put all of that underneath us right here, and also
Amazing.
in the episode description, I'll put all the links as well. Netta,
Amazing.
thank you so much for your insights today
Thank
and
you.
for all of the work you do. I'll be continuing to follow the work that you folks do and supporting the cause where I can. People like me have to wear hats like this in public, so I have no intention of
That's
stopping.
amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, James. I just want to say our next survey is going to be about anti-Semitism in large language models, AI.
Very.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah, make sure to let me know, and we'll do this again.
I will.
Thanks very much, Netta.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.